Trevor, thank you so much. Good morning. Welcome, colleagues in the media, in civil society, and especially all of those whistleblowers that are present with us today. My name is Mandy Weiner, and it is such a great privilege for me to be your host today for the launch of the Whistleblower House. The Whistleblower House is a not-for-profit public benefit organization. It's aimed at creating awareness of whistleblowers' plight and acknowledging their vital role in strengthening ethics and democracy. And you'll know that over the past few years in South Africa, we have certainly seen the rise of the whistleblower. Now, more than ever before, we have an urgent and desperate need for whistleblowers to be supported, to be protected, to be guided, and to be assisted. In his closing remarks to the Zondo Commission, President Cyril Ramaphosa praised whistleblowers who put their lives on the line in exposing incidents of corruption. He said, "Whistleblowers have not had a great time in our country. Once they blew the whistle, they've been subjected to enormous pressures that have affected them personally, professionally, career-wise, and has also affected their own households. There have been brave men and women in our country who, because of corruption, blew the whistle. I regret that in some instances, they have not been treated well." And that's an understatement if I've ever heard one. In fact, at his State of the Nation address, he did reiterate the importance of whistleblowers and what is being done to attempt to protect them. But the reality for so many whistleblowers, as you'll hear from some of those present today, is that they are treated as pariahs, as impimpies. They wear the scarlet letter W. They are pushed to the fringes of society. They're unemployed, they're unemployable. In worst case scenarios, they pay with their lives. And that should not be the case. They are patriots. They should be rewarded as such. So hence the need for an organization like the Whistleblower House. Let me introduce everyone who's going to be on the panel today. Firstly, Ivan Pillay. Ivan was a Merebank activist in the Durban anti-apartheid politics of the 1970s. His exile years ended in the late 1980s with a role in Operation Vula, which infiltrated ANC leaders into South Africa to bring coherence to the underground and channel popular anger. Joining SARS in 1999, he held a number of positions, including the head of criminal investigations, general manager for enforcement, chief officer for risk and enforcement, deputy commissioner, and acting commissioner. He was forced to resign from SARS in 2015 and now works as a private consultant. Liezl Groenewald is the senior manager at the Ethics Institute and immediate past president of the Business Ethics Network of Africa. She's in the process of completing her PhD in applied ethics, and she is the author of the Whistleblowing Management Handbook and represented South Africa at, amongst others, the Global Technical Working Groups for the development of the ISO standard for the governance of organizations and the ISO standard for whistleblowing management. She's currently developing a non-retaliation toolkit for whistleblowers. And Liezl will be instrumental in ensuring that the Whistleblower House charts an appropriate roadmap that will ensure that whistleblowers are respected, protected, feel appreciated, and get the recognition that they deserve. Martha Ngoyi is an attorney of the High Court of South Africa. She's practiced as a corporate lawyer. She worked for some of South Africa's most prestigious firms, such as Edward Nathan and Friedland. She's a trailblazer, as she answered the call of the corporate giants and went to work for Standard Bank and Barclays, respectively. Martha fundamentally understands, embraces, and lives corporate governance. When she was the group executive of legal, risk, and compliance, and later the acting chief executive for PRASA, she found herself fighting unlawful contracts that officials in government were trying to use to swindle the people of South Africa. This brave stance led to much suffering and victimization, which she's still fighting to this day. Cynthia Simple holds a master's in business administration. She spent 33 years in the banking industry, the last 10 years at South African Airways as financial risk manager. She also held the position of group treasurer over the last 2 years. In 2019, she started a support group for whistleblowers in South Africa and is campaigning for the rights and plights of whistleblowers through her company, Citizens of Conscience Foundation. And the aim of the organization is to support whistleblowers. She gives freely and selflessly of herself and is a staunch defender of our freedoms. And Ben Turon is a certified fraud examiner and a seasoned operations specialist with 35 years of management experience. He spent time with Telkom SA, The organisation undoing tax abuse, OUTA, was the DDG at the Department of Public Enterprises and a senior manager for investigations at Eskom. He is uniquely qualified to build the Whistleblower House from where it started in July into a respected and formidable support for whistleblowers in South Africa. So that's the panel for today. And don't forget, as Trevor said earlier, you can post questions in the Q&A at the bottom, or alternatively at the end, we will give you the option to raise your hand and then I'll facilitate that Q&A session. But for now, I'm going to hand over to Ivan, who is going to tell us a little bit more about the Whistleblower House.
Good morning. Thank you for attending the official launch of the Whistleblower House. It's truly an honor and a privilege to present you with what we believe is a critical initiative to ensure that good governance, ethical conduct, and the values espoused in our constitution are firmly entrenched in South African institutions. Malfeasance that had gripped our country continues to detrimentally affect the nation. Without brave whistleblowers, we would have been far worse off than what we currently are. It is because whistleblowers continue to oppose theft, fraud, and corruption that we are optimistic that the tide can be turned and that our democracy can be saved. Whistleblowers, however, are often castigated, victimized, and hounded. They have negligible or non-existent support and protection. They are left to fend for themselves in hostile environments. Some, sadly, have even lost their lives. The Whistleblower House has been established to address the existing lack of support by facilitating access to professional services that whistleblowers so desperately need. We have assembled a formidable team to drive this initiative, and we hope that state institutions, businesses, and civil societies will rally behind us to ensure the success of this endeavor. Thank you.
Whistleblowers do not set out to become whistleblowers. We are actually accidental whistleblowers. And this is a lonely and scary journey. One does not anticipate the reaction received, though. The hostility, the anger, the threats which lead to the loneliness, the shame, the fear, and the poverty that results from it. Even potential employers are hesitant, even scared to employ you, as they have this perception that you are difficult and may cause problems for them. Also, your ex-employer may call your prospective employer to warn them off. And that is even more difficult in this current labor market, which results in us as whistleblowers doubting ourselves. And quite often, whistleblowers even contemplate suicide. I'm Cynthia Stimple. I am also known as the whistleblower of SAA. While working at SAA as the group treasurer, I discovered that our board members and some of our senior executive members were compromising our governance process at SAA. There were set policies and procedures to procure funds, and yet our acting CFO and CPO colluded with the board at that time to bypass this policy, instead to create a middleman who should then procure these services of sourcing funds. An unknown client by the name of BNP Capital was selected to procure, firstly, just to give advice to our board at a price of 2.68 million. This mandate was later changed and requesting them to source funding at a price of 256 million, making it $250 million. I tried to stop the process all the way. I resisted, I refused to sign, and the consequence of that was that I was suspended and eventually lost my job. And this is the plight of every whistleblower. We suffer the detriment of losing our jobs, becoming this pariah, we are excluded, we become the outcasts of society, and we have to struggle all over again. Thank you.
Good morning from my side, everyone, and also welcome to our launch. I want to start just with basically giving some background on research that a colleague and I have conducted regarding whistleblowers. In 2019, my colleague and I at the Ethics Institute, Dr. Paul Foster, did some research among the ethics of corporate South Africa. And what we have found in terms of whistleblowing was that 31% of the people that took part in this survey said that they have personally observed misconduct in the previous year, but only half of them actually reported that misconduct, which makes one wonder why didn't all of them report it. And we asked them, why didn't you report misconduct? And you can see they did not believe that anything would be done. They did not know who to contact. They were afraid that they may be victimized. They feared for their safety. They didn't believe that they could report anonymously. And what is worrying, okay, at least it's only 1% thought that the misconduct was justified. But what is important for us here is that the majority, 32%, said that they were afraid that they will be victimized at work. And there are two quotes, my apologies, two quotes from whistleblowers that I have interviewed. You can see how the first one says you get targeted, bullied, emotional blackmail, emotional abuse, everything to get rid of you. And I think Cynthia has already alluded to that. What is interesting, just before, returning there, is another research that we've done earlier this year found that in South Africa, nearly 4 out of 10 whistleblowers have actually been retaliated against in the workplace. And of course, we see it in the news. Here are some headlines. Murder of South African whistleblowers illustrates dangerous status quo. Babita Dukaran's murder will deter whistleblowers from speaking out, says Bianca Goodson. Ethel Williams, South African corruption whistleblower, flees for his life. Treated like a pariah and followed the costs of SAA whistleblower Cynthia Stimple-Face. PRASA sues whistleblower for 45 million. Zondo, PRASA and SAA whistleblowers need protection. And so it can continue. Attacks on witnesses, whistleblowers should worry everyone. Adrian Lekay said that the SARS lawsuit was hard on him and his family. And this just shows us that it is real out there, that there's really a huge concern in terms of the protection of whistleblowers. When we look at some more issues in terms of the victimization of whistleblowers, is, in all the interviews that one has conducted or talks that we've had with whistleblowers, we find, and most of you know this as well, that people are charged in disciplinary cases. We know that they are suspended, demoted, dismissed. Injury, being shot at, like Babita, or cars being pushed off the road, etc. Of course, there's the adjustment of job duties. Maybe they were in a position of power and now they are ousted from that. In some cases, employees are transferred against their will. Some are not promoted when promotion was actually due. And in some cases, the terms or conditions of the employment or retirement are changed to their disadvantage. There's, Cynthia also mentioned the refusal of a reference or being provided with an adverse reference by his or her employee. And then, of course, the civil claims that can arise from so-called breach of confidentiality requirement in the employment contract. Now, like Mandy has said, our president and Deputy Judge Zondo has expressed their concern about the lack of protection to whistleblowers, and like Zandu said, that is interested in evaluating the adequacy or otherwise protection of whistleblowers in South Africa. Are we happy? Of course, we are happy that there's finally some acknowledgement that there needs to be change. Do we support their views? Of course, we support their views, but 2 swallows do not make a summer. More is needed, and therefore civil society needs to step in, and that is what we are. That is where we come in. Why the Whistleblower House was established, because someone needs to take action. The vision of the Whistleblower House is to minimize the adverse impacts on whistleblowers. And how will we do that? We will achieve our vision by facilitating access to empathetic service providers, including, but not limited to, professional legal, financial, security, and psychological support. We are going to create awareness of the importance of speaking truth to power. We will provide a safe space for potential whistleblowers to discuss the dilemmas they face, and Ben will explain all of these in more detail. We want to publicly acknowledge the contributions of whistleblowers to good governance, so much needed in our country. And we will advocate for the implementation of effective whistleblowing management systems in organizations. Our values are the following. We will do all of this. We will reach our vision by acting with integrity, honesty, and transparency. We will deliver with safety, sustainability, and empowerment of our whistleblowers. We will mediate with compassion, humility, and hope. We will support with dignity, love, and empathy. And we will rebuild with belief in a better future, optimism, and a faith in humanity. Ben, I'm handing over to you to take us further. Thank you very much.
Good morning from my side. In short, what we want to do is to support whistleblowers. We will facilitate access to legal services, health, financial, risk management, and advice regarding media. Quite often, the media is abused, and we need to assist the whistleblowers in that. Advocacy, we'll engaging in public and private sector institutions, engaging the media and support groups. We'll acknowledge, and that is a critical step that we need to do, is to ensure that whistleblowers, in fact, get acknowledgement, and we start celebrating them. As we engaged with whistleblowers, a common thread emerged. That is that whistleblowers are caught off guard, they are bewildered by the complexity and range of issues that they have to deal with. Some of these have been mentioned earlier. These issues were identified and grouped into broad categories, listed, financial. Whistleblowers often do not have funds for legal services, even if they remain employed. However, they often lose their income when they lose their jobs. We will attempt to raise funds to assist whistleblowers for daily living expenses such as groceries, rent or bonds, utilities, as well as transport and airtime. This will allow the whistleblower to at least survive. Critical. We will build relationship with financial institutions and negotiate on their behalf for payment holidays, reduced interest rates, and even debt cancellation in specific instances. The idea we have is to alleviate the burden that the whistleblower carry. The whistleblower journey is fraught with ambiguities, legal prescripts, and potential pitfalls. The journey is exacerbated without legal assistance and guidance. The Whistleblower House understands this, and we already have 2 firms who have committed themselves to assist whistleblowers during the journey. It must be noted that the legal support is not a short-term intervention, but rather a journey as a partner. And the examples are there with PRASA, SARS, etc., where the legal process has gone up to 9 years. Medical and psychological assistance. The road traveled by the whistleblower is lonely and stressful, and often fraught with danger. This often leads to symptoms such as high blood pressure, depression, severe levels of anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, to name a few. We are in consultations with the South African Medical Association on how to access critical medical services. We also have an agreement with the Psychological Society of South Africa, who will establish a panel of psychologists that will assist whistleblowers in need. And the critical skill there would be the understanding and experience in dealing with trauma, risk management. A full background check and risk assessment will be done for every whistleblower approaching us to ensure we understand the specific environment that the whistleblower with a view to address the issues we identify. Once this is done, we will contract the whistleblower and start rendering the services. Safety and security has been spoken about, and we've got the examples of Africa where people died. Too often, the prospective and the actual whistleblower do not understand the danger they are exposed to because they are accidental whistleblowers. We have partnered with companies operating in this field to assist us in doing a full analysis and recommend actions appropriate and commensurate with the issues identified. This will include the safety and security of the person and the whistleblower's human network, which include immediate family, other close family members or friends. The network of partners will be expanded as we move along. Further, an informal network has already been established to support whistleblowers, and we will support similar interventions as we realize that whistleblowers need a safe place to talk and discuss that affect them. Just a note, it's important to note that these things that we're talking about is just illustrative and cannot be exhausted within an hour. We believe that the work towards an inclusive net that will ensure the whistleblowers are properly taken care of. Where are we today? We've got 2 law firms on board. We are contacting others to make sure that we have a panel that we can, as we move along, we will rotate through there. The Psychological Society of South Africa are identifying a panel of professionals who will assist whistleblowers. We already have 1 trauma counselor on board. A risk and security advisory team on board already. We have a risk assessment tool in place, which will allow us to evaluate the risks that the whistleblower faces before we actually contract and we move forward. An accounting firm is on board to ensure that the whistleblower funds are managed properly, which we don't have any yet, but they are on board. We are waiting a meeting with South African Medical Association to identify doctors to assist with medical treatment. We reached out to South African Society of Psychiatrists and we are pursuing discussions. Possible foreign donors have been identified and we have engaged and we are continuing with that to ensure that we have funds available, to ensure that we have money to service the whistleblowers as well as to stay in business. The bottom line is we are ready for whistleblowers. The way forward is obtain funding, as I just spoke in the previous slide. We need to enlarge the pool of service providers in all relevant areas across the board, as I've just discussed with you now. And we have committed to engage with civil society organizations so that we can establish partnerships. We can widen the safety net for whistleblowers. The Whistleblower House website is up and the link is there. And we can be contacted on info@whistleblowerhouse.org. Ladies and gentlemen, question time. Over to you, Mandy.
Thank you very much, Ben. If I can ask everybody on the panel to just switch your cameras on. There are quite a few questions already. You can keep those coming in the Q&A. I'll go through those, and then if you like to, if you want to stick up your hand, you can use the raise hand function as well. I'm going to start with one from Terence Ogle, who says, what is the legal framework, if any, that protects whistleblowers in South Africa? And then I'm going to tie that into another one that has come through, which speaks to advocacy around whistleblowing from Marcus Turin, which says, the Whistleblower House does not express an intention to advocate around law reform, the PDA specifically. Do you see this as the remit of others, such as the active citizens movement? I'm not sure who's best placed on the panel to speak to the legislation. Who would like to take that one?
Let me talk about it. Oh, so Cynthia, please go ahead.
I'll take it. Thank you very much, Mandy. And thank you for your question, Marcus. Yes, we, in our advocacy, it's not regarding the Protected Disclosures Act. Our intention is to support any institution that's willing to take it forward, lend our hand, our skills, our voice to it. So if the active citizens movement, which we already know has been on that path to changing the Protected Disclosures Act and advocating for it, we will support them and would like and yes, encourage them to continue that path. So our focus right now is to look at the whistleblower per se and help them where their current needs are. And as you can see from Ben's presentation, it's covering the other factors and not the Protected Disclosures Act. Thank you. I hope that answers your question.
Liezl, is anything you'd like to add to that?
No, Mandy, I think Cynthia has covered it. I'm fine. I'll respond to some other questions. Thanks.
Great, thank you. There are a few questions around cooperation with other organizations. Nokutula Kwela is asking, is there an entity that protects whistleblowers in this country? And then Yakudiaga is saying, will Whistleblower House be collaborating with the AEPF since you have the same goals and visions? Liezl, I think that you can probably answer that one.
Yes, thank you, Mandy. Thank you for those questions. And Ben, please come in here as well. Currently, there are no specific, well, there isn't a specific organization that protects whistleblowers. There's, of course, when we talk about witness protection, that comes in, but, you know, that's the ambit of the law enforcement agencies. But as a civil organization, there's no such entities at the moment. Ben, you want to talk to Jaco's question, please?
Which one is that?
It is about whether we will be working together with the AEPF.
Well, the Anti-Intimidation Ethical Practice Forum is on our list of people to contact. It has been a hectic few weeks to get to this point where we are now. We have a list of civil society organizations. The intention is to actually meet with them individually, but also meet together so that we can actually chart a way forward. How do we operate? How do we support each other? Because unless we work together, we are doomed to fail, and the people that suffer would be the whistleblower. So the intention is to reach out to as many civil society organizations that we can.
Thanks, Ben. Thank you for that one. Devoshum Mudli Vera asks to the panel, how would you avoid political interference from keeping whistleblowers safe? What are your values and objectives in providing a safe haven for whistleblowers? And perhaps we can tie that into a question from Yakudiaga saying, if someone's life is threatened, will you be able to arrange for police assistance to put them in safe houses?
The difficulty we have at the moment is because the institutions meant to do the things that we are doing are not functional, and we're filling a gap in the market. So we intend meeting with the MPA, with SAPS, with the Hawks, etc., to see how can we support them. The difficulty we have is we don't know who in there to trust. So we've got to build a relationship, identify people inside there that we trust, and then we can start working the road together. In the short term, however, we will attempt to provide whistleblower safe accommodation, and that's why we need funding so that we can have accommodation available. Safety and security is part of that, that covers that area. So we intend to, in fact, assist whistleblowers in making sure that they are safe.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Let's go to another one from Tebogo Car saying, the launch of Whistleblower House couldn't have arrived sooner. We, Public Interest SA, look forward to partnering with yourselves wherever possible. Good luck and Godspeed. Terence is asking, what country is considered the leader in the space and what can we learn from it? Or are we leading here in South Africa? Okay, who would like to, okay, Liezl, you go for it there.
When we talk about leading in the space, Terence, I assume that you mean having a civil society organization that is there to provide a safety net for whistleblowers. There is an organization, or there was an organization in the Netherlands, but they were a state agency. They're not that effective at the moment, as from my understanding, but they were there, put there by law. There is a similar organization in Germany, but they're also still finding their feet and also not offering everything that we intend to do. It's mostly on the legal side. And then, of course, we know there's PLAV, who also assists with a bit of a risk assessment and then legal advice. So, yeah. We are leading the way. I am 100% sure of that. because we provide a holistic service, including that psychological, the safety and security and the like.
Thanks, Liezl. There are some hands up. So, Trevor, I'm going to ask for your assistance here. And then when your microphone is activated, if you can just tell us where you are from or who you are, introduce yourself, and then what your question is. Let's start with Whitney Prince. If we can maybe give Whitney the opportunity to put their microphone on and to ask a question. This might take a couple of seconds.
Okay, Mandy, I'm on to that.
While we're waiting, let me just answer the question from Zimele asking whether we will play an oversight role of the public protector. We do not intend playing in that space where we hold other people to account. Our vision is to make sure that when a whistleblower comes forward, we protect that whistleblower and we walk the journey with a particular whistleblower. The intention is not to go out after institutions and to keep them to that may come later, but I'm quite sure there are other organizations which we'll partner with. That's the one question. The other question is, will we be dealing with the private sector? We do not make a distinction between public sector and private sector. A whistleblower is a whistleblower, and we will engage with him. We will evaluate the case, and then we will walk the journey with him. We do not. It may sound as if we're focusing purely because of the examples we used, but it's not our intention just to focus on the public sector. Corruption is across the board, and we need to root it out completely out of society for this country to have a chance in the future.
Thanks very much, Ben. Okay, I'm not sure if we were able to get Whitney there. I see the hand is down.
Mandy, I think Whitney might have just been giving us a wave. I think the hand went down quite quickly when you mentioned the names.
I see Mosilo Motepo is online and has her hand up as well. I'm not sure if she's saying hi or if she'd like to ask a question. Maybe we can try and bring Mosilo onto the panel as well. Mosilo, of course, is known as the Trillian whistleblower. So let's try and get her on. In the meantime, I'm going to just go through.
Mosilo is with us, Mandy. Yeah.
Okay. Mosilo, go ahead. You can stick your camera on if you like, and your microphone.
Good morning. I'm not camera ready, so you can just hear my voice. I would just like to congratulate you on this emotional day for me. I've been advocating this plight of the whistleblower since 2015. And I'd just like to congratulate all the stakeholders, all the partners that have been in this. And you've touched on all the aspects of the legal fees. I mean, my journey was PLAF paid my legal fees of 1.3 million rand. We speak about the psychological impact of it. I had a medical bill of 420,000 rand outside my medical aid contributions. You talk about the loneliness and isolation. So I also have a trauma counselor, a psychiatrist. So you've really, really touched on and of course, I was unemployed for 2 years. And no one gave me a cent and almost filed for bankruptcy until MTN came through. So, and I've also had a bond cancelled by one of the institutions. So it's like you've tracked my journey. And I'm so happy that the whistleblowers of today don't have to go through what I went through alone. Right now, you said PLAF. Yes, PLAF is legal, unfortunately. So I'm going to be contacting you with regards to security. Sorry.
Thanks, Mosilo. I have to, and I've had many conversations with Mosilo around this, so I know how difficult it is for you emotionally. So we appreciate you putting on your microphone and coming forward.
Yeah, I've had to appoint my own bodyguard when Moodley is out on bail, and it's my affidavit. That is the theft part of the 94 million rand. And the contract with my security firm ends in February. because it was no longer financially sustainable. So I will be reaching out. Thank you.
Whistle, thank you so much. And I think that this just highlights how urgent the need is for the Whistleblower House in South Africa. Bianca Goodson, who is also a Trillian whistleblower, saying, congratulations, Liezl and Ben. I know how much you guys have put into this, and all that can be said, thank you and well done. Good luck. Liezl, do you want to respond to something?
Yes, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Bianca. I just want to give due acknowledgement to Bianca, who was one of the founding directors of the Whistleblower House. So Bianca, welcome here. I'm glad that you can see the birth of your baby, and I believe that we will continue on this journey together in one way or the other. Thanks, Mandy.
Thanks. There are a couple of questions around timelines here. When can people expect you to be up and running and fully functional? So if they do want to get in touch with you. Van Naboa also saying, when will the non-retaliation toolkit be published that Liezl referred to? So what are your timelines looking like?
We are ready for people. We had some interviews on radio and TV, on your show specifically. And people have contacted us, so we really have 2 or 3 people that we've referred to, lawyers. They're evaluating the case, and those people will be contacted individually to pursue the matter. There is another question here that asks, did the person hear correctly that the relationship with the Whistleblower House will be contract-based? Yes, it will. We need to ensure that between ourselves and the whistleblower, we understand each other's roles. It's not contract like in funding. It is contract in terms of role clarification, understanding what a whistleblower ought and ought not to do once he becomes a whistleblower, he or she. And it's critical that the whistleblower understands that the behavior changes that goes with a whistleblower, he or she needs to understand what those are, and those will be put into a contract when we deal with whistleblowers. Did I miss something?
The non-retaliation toolkit, Werner, that will be hopefully published at the end of March. I will keep you posted. Thanks, man.
Okay, I'm going to go back up to some of the questions before going to the hands that are raised. Erica Bornman says, hi, this is such a great initiative. Thank you. Will the Whistleblower House be for people in the private sector as well? For example, someone exposing going-ons inside a private company and or religious organizations. And for those of you who don't know, of course, Erica is a whistleblower on Kwasiza Bantu, and she's going to be testifying at the CRL Rights Commission tomorrow about Kwasiza Bantu. So who is the Whistleblower House available to? Is it just public sector? Is it private sector? Who can get in touch with you?
Our doors are open. Contact us.
Yes.
We'll deal with case-by-case basis, and we'll walk the journey.
To everyone, the website is there. They can log in and they can send emails to the info at the Whistleblower House, or log in and put their names there. It's available right now. Thank you.
And then there's another question here that I just can't seem to find it, which asks about verifying whistleblowers. What kind of measures would you take to ensure that somebody is in fact a whistleblower?
There are 2 things that we have. We've got a risk assessment tool, which we'll be using to understand the risk environment of. One of the reasons why we have a contract that we want to enter into with a whistleblower is to understand, and there's an evaluation and a vetting process that need to go there. I didn't want to talk too much about it. It is private. The one thing I just want to share with everybody on the platform, the Whistleblower House is not, after today, you may not hear a lot of us because we will be working under the radar. We don't publicize that Cynthia came to us and we've helped her. The stuff that we do is confidential. There's a lot of work lying ahead, but I can tell you now, I am the executive director of Whistleblower House. I will be dealing with the cases with the assistance of Cynthia. So the 2 of us will be driving the process forward. Cynthia has spoken passionately about how whistleblower. I feel passionate about it. We will walk the journey with you. But you asked the question, we will vet a whistleblower. We'll do some background checks to make sure that we're dealing with proper people. And if you're not proper, we will expose you. Simply put.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. There are a couple of hands up. Trevor, if you can help me here. Let's bring Ila Gandhi onto the panel so that we can get that question asked. Tiboko Cast saying congratulations on the launch, everyone. Quite a few congratulations. Kugan Pillay saying congratulations, Ben and colleagues. Well done indeed, timely. A few others. Let's see, do we have Ila? There we go. If you'd like to unmute yourself, you can
Illa's
ask
with
the
us,
question.
and you can talk to us, Illa. Thank you.
Oh. Well, I just want to say that this is a wonderful initiative. Congratulations and thank you for taking the initiative. I think it encourages people, you know, those people who expose things at risk to their own lives, indeed are heroes and heroines of our country. And so we should honor them and not just leave them to be killed by other people. So I think this is a wonderful initiative and thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ella, thank you very much. And there are so many messages of congratulations and how timely this is, how much it is needed. So there's just a clarification here from Deja to you, Ben. Perhaps my question was not clear. Could Ben clarify that whistleblowers' relationships with the Whistleblower House will be contractual, or do you mean service providers? Ben, do you have that one?
The intention is to have a panel on each of those categories. And I'm hoping I'm answering the question the way it ought to be. In every of those categories, we want panels. So we want a panel of doctors, medical doctors, GPs. We want to have a panel of psychologists. We want to have a panel of lawyers. And we're reaching out to them. The letters have been drafted. We spoke to 2. We've got them on board totally. So the idea is that we intend to do this, the contracting and the service will be provided pro bono. So although we refer the person to a legal firm, they don't pay anything. The service will be done on a pro bono basis. So we contract we contract with a lawyer, legal firm. We may put them in contact with Cynthia. Cynthia go and visit, and Cynthia then contract them. The relationship between the legal firm and Cynthia, as an example, it is sacrosanct to that relationship. We don't have the detail of that. We don't deal with the detail of the case because that's a legal environment. When you go visit a psychologist, we don't get reports on the status unless the whistleblower agrees to sharing that information. So we are a facilitator of services, but we do not get involved inside that relationship. And that is a critical point to remember.
Great. Thank you very much, Ben. I hope that clarifies the question. George Woodworth is asking, how can some of us get involved with the Whistleblower House to assist and offer services on a volunteer basis? So if people want to be active citizens, they want to support you, they want to get involved, how can they do so? What are you looking for? And then if people want to donate money as well, what should they be doing?
On the website there is, and the website is live, on the website there is a tab called Donate. If you go in there, you can click on the button and there's an electronic facility that you can choose an amount, monthly, once off. We need you. Everything that has been done up till now has come out of the 5 or 6 people that you see on the screens here, registering a company, registering the website, building the website. All the money came out of our pockets because of the passion that we have for what we are doing. We need money to enable, as much as we get work done pro bono, there's expenses that need to be covered. When we put somebody in a safe house, we need to be able to pay for that safe house. When we transport somebody from one place to another, we need funds for that. When we put a security guard with you, we need funds for that. At the moment, we do not. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. In the meantime, Trevor, can you bring Craig Nicholson up? I'm just going to ask one question here from George Woodworth. How has the launch of this very important initiative been received by other professional bodies, such as URBA, ACFE, SAICA, and will there be coordination with those bodies? Liezl, maybe you?
Thank you. Yes, we have engaged with SAICA on an informal level. And of course, we have Jaco de Jaria, the president of ACFE in Southern Africa. So all good. And we look forward to, if possible, then, engage in a official working relationship so that we can be of assistance to each other. Thanks.
Thanks, Liezl. Craig, I see that you're up on the stage. If you can unmute yourself, you can ask your question.
Okay, hi, Mandy and Ben. I don't think if you know my story or if you are familiar with it, but I do know that Liezl and Cynthia are quite familiar with it. I've been on
Craig, sorry, just to interrupt you. We are under a time constraint, so if you could just keep it short if possible.
Okay. So the question is, if investigations or anything hasn't even started yet, but the trauma and whatever is ongoing, it's busy. Can we still become part of the, make a request for assistance when still things are still not actually even happening? No investigation, nothing, but the pressure is there. Can we already engage with the Whistleblower House?
Everybody's welcome to contact us. We'll evaluate your case. And Cynthia's nodding her head because she understands your background. I don't necessarily understand the full story, but we'll do an evaluation, and where we can, we will support.
Thank you very much.
Craig, thank you so much. Thanks for coming on. You can mute yourself. Just some clarity here. I see that Bianca Goodson has responded in relation to the necessity for a contract. I'm just trying to find the comment. But basically, she's speaking here about why it is so necessary to actually have a contract and why it is in place. It's to ensure that there is a trust relationship between the whistleblower and the organization as well. Let me have a look. Oh, there's so many messages of congratulations here that we're going through. I'm just trying to wade my way through everything. I am Marisha Smith from LHL Attorneys. Would like to congratulate the WBH team on a wonderful and insightful launch. Whistleblowers need to be supported in all facets of their life. And then Zimela and Lela saying, hopefully the Whistleblower House can influence our lawmakers to change our laws and hold boards and executives personally liable for legal costs and damages in corruption and associated unfair dismissal cases. Will you be working at all, Liezl, to work with corporate South Africa to ensure there are better measures in place?
Thank you. I think Martha should also come in here, but definitely yes. One of the things that we do, we said that advocacy, and one of the things we do is to talk about the importance of having effective whistleblowing management systems in place, because in that way you can protect whistleblowers within the organization. And then, of course, we do talk a lot, or I talk a lot with the boards of directors and emphasize the importance of that good management. And one of the things I think one should start doing is also to take the retaliators to book. Martha, you want to add as from a corporate governance?
Yeah, I think from a corporate governance perspective and in terms of our involvement as the Whistleblower House, and as you know, Ben and Liezl and Cynthia have stipulated, we are a facilitator to the processes. And what we are going to do is that we are going to also work, for instance, with the other organizations, civil society organizations, that want to put measures in place to regulate certain things. And we've got problems with boards and so on, as if necessary. I mean, if this is something that we need to factor into legislation as to how boards need to be appointed, so be it. And this is a contribution that we would make. I think it's a valid question that has been raised, and we know also from the State Capture Commission that the DCJ has raised these issues very strictly so. And we will definitely want to see that we at least participate in structures that are going to make an input into those changes. So we will definitely get involved.
Martha, if I can just direct another question at you, if you don't mind. Devosha Mudlivira asking, the State Capture report recommended a separate independent ombudsman for addressing whistleblower complaints and protection. Will the Whistleblower House be contracting with the state with this initiative, and will you agree to work with the state?
end of the day, we are going to work with everybody. I mean, Ben has been saying we're going to work with everybody, you know, both private sector and the public sector. We're going to have to work with the state, you know, I believe. And as you've indicated, Ben, in your response earlier, we're going to still make contact with the likes of the Hawks, the NPA, and so on, to see how it is that we can assist each other in trying to resolve problems that are there. So I think, you know, from our perspective, we're not going to kick anyone out. We would make that effort as well.
Thanks, Martha. Liezl, you want to say something?
Yes. I just want to add that we realize that from the government perspective, there are things happening. It's slowly, but it is happening. There's the international anti-corruption strategy. We have a couple of people from the NPA on this call or on this webinar. So we realize that is happening, and we will gladly offer our assistance or in whatever way we can contribute. But as the Whistleblower House, we also realize that the wheel turns slowly in terms of bureaucracy, and, you know, it will take a while. And therefore, you know, we are here now to be able to help until kingdom come. Yeah.
Okay, we are nearing the end. So if anybody would like to put up their hand still, you are welcome to do that. There are a few more questions I'd like to just get through. Colette Clark says, will this initiative be raising support against tag teaming hired gun lawyers paid exorbitantly to discipline whistleblowers with fixed outcomes to dismiss such employees on spurious charges? I suppose this comes down to legal support.
Yeah. I can answer that, and I think, you know, look, being a whistleblower myself and understanding tag teaming, I understand exactly where the question is coming from, and obviously practices like that have got to be, you know, exposed, and these things have got to stop. So if at the end of the day, you know, we have a whistleblower who can safely say and show us that there's a tag teaming process that is happening behind the scenes, and where there's a fait accompli, obviously, as far as the disciplinary processes are concerned, we will obviously raise it, and hopefully the law firms will be able to pick up on that, and we should really discourage against these practices and also report them when necessary. But as one says, you know, we don't also want to take on all sorts of things. Our role mainly is to facilitate, but if somebody was to come to us with that type of problem, we'd be able to advise them where to go in terms of having to report such activities.
Great, thank you very much, Martha. Trevor, can I ask you to please bring Thandeka Kobole Mbeki up to ask a question? She has her hand up. In the meantime, Yaku is asking, well done from the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, SA chapter. Any and every initiative to protect our whistleblowers is a step in the right direction in protecting those standing up against fraud and also protecting our country. And then Werner is saying, is it envisaged to create an accredited status for an ISO 37002 assessor or auditor like ISO 37001 has managed by PECB? I do not understand that question. So Liezl, maybe one of you can answer that.
The answer is no. I will take it offline.
Okay, thank you very much. Thandeka, I'm going to ask you to stick your microphone on. And for those of you that don't know, Thandeka, of course, is one of the SABC whistleblowers. Welcome, Thandeka.
Hi there, thank you very much. Just want to congratulate everybody who's part of this initiative for all the work and all the thinking that's gone into it and all the goodwill that you guys have demonstrated, you know, historically towards whistleblowers. And I also just wanted to say that the vetting must also be of the service providers. Psychologists have participated in the pathologizing of whistleblowers and in the crazy making and gaslighting of whistleblowers inside institutions. And they tag team with HR to do this. It's very important to ensure that the service providers that are attached to whistleblowers are actually or fare with the kind of syndrome that whistleblowers go through and experience, and don't participate in the harm, causing further psychological harm to whistleblowers. The second part that I wanted to say is that we mustn't forget the families of those who have left us and who have been assassinated and murdered. And in our legal cases, we must make a case for families. You see, we must try and get the PDA to cease to be just a labor relations law, that retaliatory action that happens outside of the workplace, the work of the assassins, must be countered by additional pressures, not only ratcheting up the consequences for those who visit retaliatory action upon whistleblowers. We must also ensure that the families who are left behind, for example, the orphaned daughter of Babita Diakoran, should have a damages claim in the courts, and that the PDA should recognize the standing of litigants who are family members who have been harmed, and the family income has been devastated by the assassination of a whistleblower. Other than that, congratulations, comrades and everybody, and all for support to you all. God bless you.
Thandeka, thank you so much. Thandeka Kubule Mbeki, of course, one of the SABC whistleblowers there. So thank you for that contribution. I'm going to just have a look at two more questions, and then Jason Bernardo. Trevor, if you can just bring Jason up onto the panel to ask that question, and then you can take Thandeka off. Thank you. Devosham is asking, have the members or directors of the Whistleblower House also requested protection for themselves? You may experience intimidation and experience situations of danger.
No, we have not. We have done an assessment on the current situation for all the directors. We've realized that the security is lacking, but as I said, we don't have funds. So at the moment, we understand there's a problem, there's a gap which need to be addressed, and that will be addressed in the short term.
Okay, thanks, Ben. Just before we go to Jason, there are quite a few requests on the Q&A for media packs. If one of you can maybe just take down the contact details there for the various journalists that are asking for media packs. There are a few email addresses, if you don't mind sharing those with the journalists. And then Jason, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Pleasant morning to everyone. I apologize for any background noise. I have a plumber here. I know that you mentioned the Protection of Disclosure Act. I had a bit of difficulty hearing that part. So my question is on 3 points. Does this company assist with the Protection of Disclosure Act if it falls within that realm? And then also with uneducated employees that are going through this process, many times the companies are experienced in the process and they sort of prolong it to have the employee get sort of cold feet and then back out. Are we able to investigate through this program, investigate arbitrators within the CCMA? Are we able to investigate attorneys? And are we able to investigate, as I heard previously, doctors also that misdiagnosed due to the pace in which the investigation goes on? For instance, because you are having to go through a process where you must be diagnosed perhaps for the sake of the case, many times the doctor will misdiagnose you just based off the pace in which you are being diagnosed. And many times you can determine that this doctor is false, but you're not able to investigate the doctor. Can we do this through the company? Again, does the Protection of Disclosure Act fall within the realm of this? Can we investigate attorneys? Can we investigate arbitrators at the CCMA? And can we investigate doctors through this process? Thank you very kindly.
Jason, thank you for the questions. No, we are not geared for that. What we need to do is to ensure that the service providers that we bring on board are properly vetted, and we will go through a process, make sure they're above board, they're bona fides, and they are committed to the whistleblower. We do not have the capacity to investigate lawyers and service providers in the past. We don't have that capacity. So the intention is, and I just want to touch on another, ideally, whistleblowers ought to approach us before they become whistleblowers so that we can start the journey with the public protector, the PDA, and then we start the journey with a legal firm and you walk the journey with him. Because if you do it wrong at the beginning, you actually expose yourself to other legal ramifications that we don't have to discuss here. So the idea is right up front, but that doesn't stop you from approaching us. I'm talking to whistleblowers in general, to approach us during your journey to see how we can assist you. But the answer is no, we will not be investigating malpractice that happened in the past. We're not geared for that. Sorry.
Okay, we are nearing the end of our time. So I just want to give an opportunity to perhaps one or all of you, just to close off with a comment. There are many requests for the recordings. If you can just make a note of that as well. A number of journalists, a number of people have had to drop off as well. And then I think just to close off, Ben, Liezl, Cynthia, Martha, would you each like to just say something very quickly?
Thank you for joining us. We look forward to the journey. It's going to be taxing. It's going to be long. It's going to be hard for us. But we are here to help the whistleblower, and we will do everything in our power to ensure that the impact on the whistleblower is minimized, if not totally removed. We are committed to the whistleblower, and we look forward to walking the journey with you. Thank you.
And from my side, sorry, Cynthia, I'm looking at the photos here in front of me.
Liezl, go. I'll cue you.
From my side, thank you very much also for everyone here, and especially thank you for all the very kind words of congratulations. We are all as a team really passionate about supporting whistleblowers and helping whistleblowers along the way. So we look forward to the journey with everyone. Thank you.
Okay, Martha?
Thanks, everybody, once again, for supporting this initiative. It's a very important one. And as I said, being a whistleblower myself, I know what it takes and know what one is still going through. So you'll be dealing with people who've had the experience of being whistleblowers as well when you come through. So thanks a lot for the support. And we have a lot of work ahead of us. Thank you.
Cynthia?
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We really understand the path you've walked, and hence the reason why we want to help. We know there's this huge gap in our society, and we want to help. Yes, we may not cover all aspects like earlier discussion on investigating, etc., but that does not deter us from helping you at least minimize any of the trauma or whatever you're facing. And that is our goal and mission. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the past hour and for being here for the launch of the Whistleblower House. I love how it's described as a central meeting place for courage. And that's exactly what it is. So to all of you that have been involved, I must commend you from having spoken to so many whistleblowers. This is really much needed. And let's hope that it does make a difference and that people get involved and do support you. So thank you, everyone. And good luck on your journeys and have a lovely day.